Thank you.
Senator Hickenlooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Secretary, Governor, thank you for being here. Your budget proposes transferring public lands out of federal management, and a couple places refers to a bloated federal estate. But in many cases, these lands are supportive of our outdoor recreation, $17 billion recreation in Colorado, $1.2 trillion nationwide. And there's discussion of in your remarks about increasing outdoor access, but the BLM recreation budget, which is where most of that access gets created, is down 60%, and that's not just compared to last year. That's compared to pre-COVID. I'm very sensitive to that notion that, you know, during COVID, the budgets went spending. So I've done all my numbers back to 2019, and that 60% cut. I mean, as a former business owner, we both are, when you make those kinds of dramatic cuts, it's often hard to get just the fat. You end up getting a lot of what's really necessary as well. So I guess I'd ask, shouldn't we be looking at ways to make better investments, but still maintain, to a significant extent, those investments in outdoor recreation and in our access to public lands?
Yes, Senator, thank you, or I should say Mayor, Governor, Senator. We agree with your comments, and this is certainly when we want to make sure that we're being strategic in terms of where we're applying the dollars. Love the fact that you've gone back and done that analysis to 2019. You may be ahead of some of the work we're trying to do with the systems that we're trying to have this, trying to put together a look so we can see where we were, because when people talk about dramatic cuts, sometimes the cut would take us back to 2021 spending, and I'm like, wow, we got, you know, the world wasn't falling apart in 2021. Maybe we could live with that for a while as we try to balance the budget. But I appreciate that. Recreation is such an important, the outdoor recreation industry is massive. I mean, it's like 3% of the employment in this country is now in outdoor recreation, and that group does so much. I mean, they're doing so much. They do. This is a group broadly that is leading in conservation. I mean, you know, hunters, fishermen, anglers, campers, climbers, those are the people that are contributing their own personal dollars back. So this is a community that's of utmost importance to us going forward. So I appreciate your zeroing in on that piece, and we'll continue to take a hard look at that.
Yeah, and I think even the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service caught my attention. Going back to 2019, it's cut 30%. And I know from experience as a governor that they run pretty lean always anyway, and that's kind of the foundational for a lot of outdoor recreation, is making sure the habitat for wild animals, for fish, that we maintain, and always are trying to think about ways we efficiently and cost effectively can improve that.
Yeah, and they run 65 fish hatcheries, which then helps support all the entire fishing industry as well. So. Absolutely,
and it's a place where, in many ways, it helped pay its own way, because there are all sources of revenues as well. You know all that. Wildfires and confronting this wildfire crisis really does push us towards making our forests more resilient. But obviously, staffing losses and BLM's land resources funding being cut by a third, again, back to 2019, I'm worried about our capacity to respond to the wildfire risk, and especially how do we make sure we have resilience. And it's complicated, and I'm not trying to gloss over the complications. How do you expect the BLM is going to be able to deliver on the wildfire and forest management goals when you're making these kinds of cuts to the workforce and to critical parts of the planning?
Well, as we head into this wildfire season, we just had a briefing yesterday, but Secretary Brooke Rollins and I have been working together. We've held joint reviews on firefighting. We've talked about ways to gain additional efficiencies at the operational headquarters overhead level, so that we can put more boots on the ground, literally. This summer, we're about 17,000 staffing across the two agencies for wildfighters, so we're about equal with where we were last year. But we do have, there's no hiring freeze on that. We still have positions open. If people are interested in jumping in and having an amazing summer experience, we can get them trained up for wildfire fighting. But we're also looking at some other models. There's a great model that's going on in Alaska between the state and the federal government. And we also, this budget proposal does include that we would consolidate the wildland firefighting because there's 4 firefighting units in Interior, 1 in Fish and Wildlife. Sometimes we're well coordinated, other times we've got like 5 generals pursuing different strategies and tactics, and when we have a checkerboard of federal land. So I think there's so we're taking a hard look at some opportunities there, and we've got Senator Sheehy and others are advancing legislation to take a look at this as well. So we'd be happy to continue that dialogue, particularly with states that are deeply involved in having their own state resources.
Right, like Colorado. I appreciate that. We'll stay in touch and pursue that. I yield back.